We are live.
Yay!
Yay. Hey, Yakin.
Hey Sam, nice to see you.
So, what are we doing here? What's the purpose?
What's the purpose? The purpose, that's a good question. That's always good to ask, because when you clarify the purpose, everything else becomes easier. Well, for me, really, the purpose is to spread what knowledge we have gathered to other people. And most important is really that we have fun together because we have a good vibe and to bounce off each other. I don't think this is going to be, in a very structured, rigid way. And people should, you take just whatever is useful for you with you, leave the rest behind. And yeah, that's for me. What do you think about that?
I'm down for that, mate. I love the idea of spontaneity, free flow. Because yeah, we both come from a good place of love, place of energy, place of passion. So I'm pretty convinced that 30 minutes talking, maybe other podcasts will go on a little bit longer, but for today we'll just keep it for 30 minutes. I'm sure there's going to be loads of juicy nuggets that people can take away and practically apply to enhance their life.
Yeah, I agree. So the podcast will be every 2 weeks on Tuesdays. I think that's what we have set. And what qualifies you, Sam? What do you think that you can share with the world? Like, what has been your journey?
I don't know. I worked in the milk industry for 35 years. So, taking aside, I mean, it's my absolute biggest passion and life purpose is to spread the positivity, the light, the love, the freedom. Actually, I realized the more I've gone on with my journey, what I love inspiring in others, I'd call freedom. That's how I'd summarize it. The freedom to be at peace with yourself. Be comfortable in your own skin and have that sense of stillness inside, that sense of joy, which might be animated and energized at times, but it might just be very quiet, still, but always peaceful. So that's what I look to others.
Wow,
what about you?
That's fantastic. What about me?
I'm pretty blessed, I must say.
Yeah,
what's the thing that if someone was to say to you, what do you bring to people? What do you try and inspire in others? What's your thing?
For me, it's really, I guess it's somewhat on the same lines. I want to help others to be the best they can be, and to get out of that kind of bullshit thing in their head, holding themselves back, and unfold into the world whatever they can give and come from that place. And I want to give that to people so they can give it to others. And we all, as you mentioned at some point, like a candle, we give the light from one candle to the next candle to the next candle, and it just keeps spreading.
That's what it's about. I love that analogy. Because when you really see how we're all connected, we're all just one big, how I see it now, it's so clear, we're all just one big family chilling on this pretty miraculous planet. If you actually think about it, it's ridiculous. And we're all this one big family, so we might as well work together to help. Also, to not only help each other, but also help the home that we're all living in.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest, the things that causes us a lot of pain is this illusion of separation, that we're all separate from each other, we're separate from the earth, that the mind has become very self-absorbed in the individual's life story, and we actually rarely stop, take in the present moment and think, hang on a minute, what's going on here? Look at this life that is unfolding, and what connects me to this life now, and how can I help my other brothers and sisters on the planet? I think when you're coming from that viewpoint, well, it's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I absolutely do believe that we can use more of that. And also, what I'm realizing, you know, that's what we are doing, but our people, they might be actually very happy to, you know, do other tasks. Like some people, they actually are very happy doing shopping, for example. And that's really what they are like, that's what they like really feel alive and connected to. And so I believe, you know, everyone has their own calling, really. And
Oh, couldn't agree more. Exactly. Yeah, what you said, because I think really there's that quote. What is it that what the world needs? Do you know the one I'm trying to remember? What the world needs is for you to do your passion or something like that. Like basically, whatever that is, whether that's painting, whether it's working in the milk industry, whether it's a pig farmer, whether it's doing speeches, it really doesn't matter. It's that you feel happy and connected to it. Because then when you're, it's just common sense, really. When you're feeling happy and peaceful inside, then wherever you go, you just spread that energy to other people. You know, so very simple.
Yeah, but
people are not connected with what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. That's the state of play.
so what do you think is the like an easy thing to do to get more connected to that?
What comes to mind is being able to spend more time in silence and actually sit with yourself. Stop the amount of time that you're distracting yourself to avoid the moment and the stillness and the void and the emptiness. That's like the first thing people have got to start getting more comfortable with, is sitting in silence, just being on their own for a little bit. It doesn't mean you have to become a recluse, but the thing is, until people start just feeling what's going on inside and observing, instead of, oh shit, quick, got to get TV on, or got to eat this food, or got to do this to avoid and escape my inner reality, then they're never going to get any clarity.
Yeah, yeah. And I have, I believe, I mean, with the work that I've done with people, that there's a lot of fear going on of being alone, being in silence, because they think, oh, you know, stuff is going to come up and they're not being able to deal with it. And just today I had a group session with people, and I gave the example of a woman procrastinating about cleaning up the cellar for like months. And then when she finally goes and does it, she gets it like done in an hour. But she has all this build up, this story of, oh my God, it's going to take me so long, it's going to be so painful, it's right? And so often it's actually the pain, the things we are afraid of are actually not so bad once you actually face them.
So how did you get this woman out of interest to make it less scary?
Well, so the woman, that was a story. I don't know the woman by itself, but by itself, this story of knowing that a lot of time when we procrastinate, when we put things off, we're actually adding mentally, often unconsciously, stories about how difficult it will be, how scary it is. And so the first step is really breathing, because when you breathe, everything is moving and energy can flow. And what usually happens is that when people feel stuck, or when people have a problem, they lock down, right? They lock down, and you can see that in the breathing kind of stops or becomes very shallow, and there's no motion, it's very rigid. And so breathing is very important, staying present with that and allowing yourself, to whatever degree you're comfortable, to feel what is there, right? And be like, okay, so I'm here and I'm alive, because whatever, you know, whatever that fear is, or even if it's from the past or whatever, you have survived that. You've gone through that. And so you can start to create new associations with this feeling. Because where there's fear, where there's pain, there's also a lot of power. I heard one quote, but I don't remember it. Something like your biggest fear is your biggest gift, or something like that, or your biggest wound, something like that. I forgot it.
Well, I was reading Marianne Williamson. Have you heard of her?
No.
She seems really, really spot on. Saying how our biggest fear is actually how powerful we are, how much we can expand, rather than the dark side and how weak we are, but actually how much we can expand, and that's interesting, and I really relate to that.
Yeah, because one thing that is very important to realize, you know, good or bad, or all those concepts, and good or bad is a concept of the mind. It's not something that is written in nature like, oh, this is good, this is bad. No, we have made that up. It's completely man-made. And what usually happens is when you have some kind of feeling, it is energy bubbling up. And we're saying this is bad or this is good. But it is energy. And that's the important part. There's so much power in that because there's energy. And you can use that energy and you can shape the energy in a certain way. But most people try to suppress it. They're like, no, not good, not good. But by suppressing it, they're cutting off a big part of their own power.
Completely, mate. I mean, one of the principles that I look to work with clients on straight away is making them aware that they can be their own energy alchemists. That's what I call it, which is what you're saying, really, to transmute that energy into whatever they want. It's so wonderful when they get it.
Yeah. Yeah, and so actually in the dark sides that we think that we have, there's a lot of good and a lot of power, a lot of energy that we somewhat, I don't know, unconsciously have given away. And connecting to that can be a really powerful experience. Great. So, yeah, that's it. We're done. No, I just want to stress again the breathing. The breathing is crucial in this, because that's what gets you through that. Even if any kind of emotion, when you keep breathing, when you keep being rooted in that, it's really, really useful and really powerful, because a lot of people are afraid. And what they do is, you know, they start to hyperventilate or they start to not breathe. And that just magnifies that kind of negative experience.
Yeah, definitely. People try and fight against it, and then basically they just give that thing more and more energy by fighting against it. I know you were in a martial arts school for a few years, so I often use the example of what martial art is it? The one where you use the opponent's force?
Tai Chi Chuan?
Sorry?
Tai Chi?
Tai Chi? Or isn't it Aikido?
Aikido as well, yeah.
Or Tai Chi Aikido, yeah. But it's that sense of you let it go like that rather than you just like boom.
Yeah, exactly. And that motion, you know, as long as you're in motion, you're breathing and moving, everything's fine. You can always influence in what direction you want to go.
Well, everything is in constant state of flux, my friend.
Right, yeah.
Reminding me of when people talk about the motion, I just think of the Vipassana retreats. I don't think you've done one, have you?
No.
There's throughout the whole 10 days, it's they just got tape recordings of certain directions and guidance. So it's just saying the same things over and over again. They get ingrained in your head. They're really profound. But one of the things is everything rise, everything pass. Everything rise, everything pass. And it's so profound when you actually experience it, because there's such a difference between intellectually going, oh yeah, I get that, things come and go. Nah, that's not it. When you actually feel that, and you're present enough to stay with that emotion, and you actually observe the nature of reality, that everything arises and passes. If you really get that, there's nothing, fear can't really exist, because you truly understand that everything arises and passes. Everything is in a constant state of flux. So no matter how horrendous the moment may appear, it's only by actually attaching and fighting against it that keeps it there longer. If you just surrender to the nature of what is and know that it will pass, because that is the nature of reality. Like right now, all our entire body is just, all the molecules are just going da, 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 da. It's just that it's vibrating so fast to give this kind of sense of solidity. So that's fascinating, and every that every cell in our body after, I think it's 7 year cycles,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Don't quote me on the biology, but everything gets completely redone. We've got a completely new body from what we had however many years ago, like every cell, which is just fascinating. Thoughts are just like this, just arising and falling, sensations arising and falling. When you really get into that, you just realize that you're this funky awareness just watching this rising and falling of phenomena. That changes the game completely.
So if I listen between the lines, it seems that Vipassana meditation is one way of basically leading to that kind of awareness that everything is coming and going. And I mean, I've done a little bit of Vipassana meditation, and one of the first steps usually is with the breathing, because the breathing is coming and going, right? And so for people, if they want to grasp more of that, would you say that this is the best way to get started with Vipassana meditation?
I don't know if it's for everyone, although I would say everyone give it a go. It's one of those things. I'd say just for the personal challenge, the mental discipline, the learning, I'd recommend everyone to give it a go. Just simply because it gives you 10 days of experiential understanding, going deeper into reality. Because the thing is, most of us are thinking about reality the whole time. We are thinking, we're making a projection about reality. Hardly anyone is actually in reality. And so you understand, you have all these concepts and ideas and knowledge and all this stuff going on, like, oh, this is that. But actually experiencing without any conceptual framework is a complete ball. So that 10 days is amazing because it allows you to actually experience from a deeper level what the hell is going on. So I think it's going to be very individual for every single person, depending on the state of awareness and where they're at.
Where can they access that? Can you share it?
Well, there's centers all around the world. They're everywhere. If people are in the UK, then I think there's 2 centers in Herefordshire. You just type in Vipassana in Google. I did mine in India, but there's loads and loads there. They're worldwide. But it's quite hardcore. The thing is, I would say that I wouldn't necessarily do another 10-day now, given my understanding, because it's quite brutal in a way. It's quite hardcore, and I think there are gentler ways to awake yourself. So that might be great for some people. I'd choose a more slightly gentler way now, having done it.
What would that be, the more gentle way?
What would
the more gentle way be? What would that be?
Well, I love the principle of going away on retreats. So it'd be quite similar in a way, but I wouldn't have so much of the rigid ruling, because it's very, very strict. Like you can't speak at all. There's no technology. There's nothing you can do. You can't even make eye contact. Even yoga wasn't allowed. So I would do something quite in a similar vein, but I would just go by myself now. What I do, just go by myself. But I think if looking back, it was very useful for where I was at. So I really think it depends where you are. But if you get to the stage where you feel comfortable on your own going, then I think that could be even more profound, because it's then really your own thing. You're not leaning on any support structure or other people to help you. It's just your own journey. So I think get yourself to that sense of autonomy as fast as you can, without rushing at the same time.
Yeah, makes sense. I had a question, but I forgot it. So
is that something you do want to do, the Vipassana?
I've been thinking about it, doing some kind of formal retreat, but at the same time, I am more on the line of what you're saying, that I just go off by myself and do whatever feels natural, with certain constraints, like like electronics or whatever, which I know I would be more prone to distract myself with that, and just doing that. I mean, I have been doing it with on once a week, a day, kind of a purposeless day, which you should,
Yeah.
you suggested, which I like, because you just go, you have free expression, no planning really. And the cool thing is, what I observed is that there's naturally more silence toward the end of the day, because you have expressed yourself. And sometimes the kind of traditional way of meditating is like, okay, I'm gotta sit down now, and the mind is, or let's say not the mind, the system, like the system, the whole thing that we are being, and that is part of us in some way, is not ready. It's not really ready for this kind of stillness and meditation. So I found it actually quite useful to have that, to kind of get more space in my head and discharge some stuff and get rid of it, and have this kind of free expression. And then towards the end, there's silence anyways.
I see. So it's more of a natural, spontaneous silence, rather than like, right, we've got to force stillness now on the mind.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, that's exactly what I want to say before is, it seems some people have an approach of, oh, I gotta control the mind, I have to conquer the mind, I have to, all this kind of stuff, all this kind of language is quite interesting. And then when you look at other approaches, or more, maybe more, a little bit more in the spiritual realm, they say, well, it's all about just transcending the self, and, or, just realizing that there's nothing to transcend because there's no self, right? So ultimately, do you think that meditation and this kind of thing is a tool for that, or do you think there's some other purpose for meditation?
I mean, meditation for me has changed its purpose a lot. And what it used to be was more, I'm going to do this thing to achieve this, to bring more control, it was kind of goal orientated. As things have progressed, now I don't so much think in terms of, right, I'm going to do meditation, I'm going to, I need to control the mind, or it's more of a 24/7 awareness of being in the here and the now. That's pretty much it. And so that might mean, for example, in the mornings, I go to the park and I take off my shoes and I just sit bare feet in the grass. And what's happening at the moment is I like to go through all my body and just loosen up the joints, do some stretches, do some yoga. I normally lie down, just go through my body, relax it all. Might do a bit of energy healing on my body. Might just sit there. So, but it's not like I'm forcing anything.
Yeah.
More like, and then as I get up, it's not like, right, now that's that done. Now let's just go back to like normal. It's the continuity of, right, now I'm present as I'm walking to the office or something, and now I'm going to think of what I'm going to do today. Oh, look, I can see the mind speeding up a bit as it gets into analysis mode. Okay, so it's really it's become a step-by-step thing. So I think the meditation practices have so much use, but just see them for what they are. That don't get kind of hooked in on thinking that, all right, I need to do all this meditation and do all this yoga and do all this like spiritual stuff so that I somehow get somewhere, or see what I mean?
Yeah. I just realized, that there's with the people I've been talking to, there's a fundamental difference in some people thinking there's still a concept of I have to do meditation. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so it really seems to more enforce the concept of I have to control the mind. I have to be present, while other spiritual approaches are the more non-dualistic approaches are like, well, you are already everything there is, and all kind of those kind of paradoxes sometimes that they put out that seem to be much more your consciousness. There's no I. There's no self. You're just this awareness, and things arise and go. And that's a very different kind of mindset that is behind.
Definitely. You spot on, because the meditation and all that quote unquote spiritual stuff can just become another vehicle for the eye to identify itself with and strengthen the ego, in fact. And you can meet a lot of people in these spiritual circles who are actually so connected to the ego. I had a real misconception before of like, oh, everyone's this like really like relaxed, sort of chilled, loving, non-ego type vibe, but actually no.
Okay, yeah. So what do you think,
have you met some people who like externally you think, oh, they must be very enlightened, and then actually not?
Yeah. Yes, it is somewhat. Maybe at another point we can do a podcast about that, because it seems to be fairly challenging, or you need to use your wits a little bit to navigate in that kind of spiritual realm, because there seems to be a lot of frauds and actually quite some dangerous people around.
Oh, definitely.
Who you can fall prone to, that you don't really want to be engaging with. Yeah, but before we start wrapping it up, like, what do you think are the key points that we can give to the listeners and viewers for today?
Good question. Oh God, have I been listening? Have I been meditating? What did we speak about? Well, just what we just said there, about not just making meditation and any spiritual practice something that you have to do to control something and get an outcome. Just allowing your mindset to be 24/7 in the here and the now, and things will naturally unfold. Before that, what were we speaking about?
Well, at the very beginning, we're speaking up the podcast that they can switch in every 2 weeks, basically. The other things that, I mean, it was quite a bit about the meditation, also about the emotions, how we relate to the emotions, and that actually you can retrain yourself not to have this kind of relation to the emotion by having to suppress it because you think it's bad and it's going to overwhelm you, but actually letting yourself go through that, breathe through that, because that will allow you to, be more powerful, be more present in all the darkness. There's a lot of good stuff.
Yes, and that arising and passing away, knowing that it just does that, so you can relax no matter how terrible or awful the situation seems. It's gonna pass. It has to.
Yes, and meditation is one. Vipassana meditation is, for example, is one vehicle, or being by yourself, allowing yourself to be present, having, for example, a purposeless day or going on a retreat. Can help you to have that kind of realization, because we said it's very different to have the intellectual understanding versus really kind of getting it fully, that this shall pass too, right? I heard this once, like one guy said he carries in his wallet like this card or whatever, where it says this shall pass too. And so when he's like super depressed or whatever, he takes the card out and he looks at it and sees, this shall pass too. But not only then, but also when he's very happy and super excited, he also takes it out and looks at it and says, this shall pass too.
That's very interesting and important.
Yes.
That you don't actually give more weight to certain sensations from, to some rather than to others.
Yeah, because then you can you become dependent on the sensation.
Yes.
Right. And as we said, freedom, right? The freedom comes basically from not being attached to neither good nor bad.
Oh. Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's a good, I think to wrap up, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. It was fantastic. And so we'll do this in another 2 weeks.
Definitely. I hope you guys who have listened have enjoyed the session, got something useful from it. and we'll be doing it every 2 weeks. We're also going to allow you guys to ask questions, which can give fuel to what the podcast can be about. So it's going to really be a very free-flowing, spontaneous kind of style based around what you guys are after. Yeah,
absolutely. And if you have any questions or something, you can ask us, or you can. What's your email address that they can reach you at?
Yeah, so for me, it's sam@transcendthemind.com. That's sam@transcendthemind.com. And check out Transcend the Mind, by the way, all the awesomeness that's going on. Or what about your end, Joachim?
Oh, my end. You can use my old email address, which is Joachim. Oh man, they probably it's JACHYM @hypnotictransformation.com, and transformation is written like a trance, so it's transformation.com. I'm still checking that email. I've moved away from that kind of business that I've built up there to more coaching with just a few people, 5 to 10 people, with high performers, and less doing issue-specific work, which I was doing before. But you can still reach me at that email. All right.
Beautiful. Thank you, Joachim.
Thank you, Sam. Have a good night.
I'll see you,
See you
in a few weeks.
All right. Take care.